And we're on. Chuckloaf here, 1200 Films Podcast. All horror, all the time. It has been a while. Yes, I needed a break, though. Probably watched 70 horror films in the last couple months there of the year to squeeze in as many as possible. Jesus, my arms are tired. So, but we're back. Alive and well. Of course, the rating scale on the bottom, as always, dumpster fire garbage. Then can't quite recommend, and then okay if desperate, and then put it on the watch list. And of course, if it's awesome, put it on top of the watch list. Most of the films here today are from 2020 that I missed somehow. Usually because they came out late or they were too expensive on pay-per-view. But anyway, who cares? Let's get going. 2020, Wolf of Snow Hollow. Critic rating 89%. Audience score of 68. This is a horror comedy. And I saw this on a few people's top 10 lists. Like websites and stuff that put out their own top 10 of 2020. And this was on some of them. But this is very divisive among horror critics. Either you loved it or you hated it. I can understand why people would hate it. The comedy kind of tanks. Mostly because I felt the weird kind of bizarre acting style of the main character. He's trying to be serious while also trying to be like a Ben Stiller type, I guess. It's hard to describe. You'd have to watch. But the horror works fine. So 1 out of 2 equals okay if desperate. And this also was Robert Forster's last film before passing, which is sad. He's been around a long, long time. His first film was in 1967. And this was his final one. So, but moving on. 2020, Get Duked, which almost has the exact same score as the previous film. Critic rating 87%, audience score of 66. These troublemakers in school are kind of forced to do this little journey over some mountains and areas to get to, because they're in, I don't know, they're forced to do this journey across this area because they're in trouble, and they have to do this to get out of doing school. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah. I know that was horrible, but as they're doing this little journey, because they're on their own, it's just 4 of them. There's no adult. The adult left immediately. He says, "Okay, kids, you're on your own. Follow the map. I'll meet you there." And so they're on their own, and all of a sudden they get stalked by this friendly gentleman who is shooting at them, who is appropriately played by Eddie Izzard, who is excellent in this role. But that's what you got here. You got 4 kids being chased after this guy with a gun, and it kind of evolves from there. And then the kids' characters are interesting, but as a film, I guess it's watchable. Okay if desperate. Nothing spectacular as far as a horror film, though. Moving on, 2020, Hunted, not The Hunt, which was a big film, but Hunted. Critic rating 60%, no audience score. I looked at why there was no audience score. It was like just a few audience members shy of having an audience score, so I put in my 2 cents. So hopefully the next couple days here we'll have an audience score for this film, because it deserves it. It's really good. Probably one of the better acting jobs I've seen between 2 main characters. It's basically your Stalker in the Woods movie. This chick gets kidnapped from a bar, and these 2 guys kidnap her, and then the car crashes, and then they're out in the woods chasing after her. But the one guy kind of fades off, but the main guy is so bizarre. He's so out there. He's so mentally goofy, but it's very interesting. Yes, put it on the watch list. Hunted. I believe it is airing on Shudder at the moment. Next one, 2020, Come Play. COMEE. Come Play. Critic rating, 58% audience score, 67. This was another one I wanted to get in before the end of the year, but it was like $15 on pay-per-view, and I wasn't going to go to the theater to see it. But it's all right. You kind of take Z and you mix it with the Babadook, and you get this film. Even though I was not crazy about the goddamn Babadook. But this film's alright. Basically, this creature is trying to befriend this boy. Like the imaginary friend type deal. Hi, kitty. What you doing? I'm busy. Just a minute. So, the creature wants to take the boy away to wherever, to hell, I guess. And, of course, the boy and the parents are trying to stop this, obviously. And the evil creature's name is Larry, which is a great name. But this was fine, okay if desperate. When it's cheap or in a red box, or you can get it for next to nothing, it's worth a viewing, I guess. Next one, The Empty Man from 2020, critic rating 42%, audience score of 39. It's one of those things where if you do this certain thing, if you breathe into a bottle and then take 2 steps backwards and then think of the empty man and then throw the bottle, then the empty man's gonna... Yes, it's one of those films where you conjure up something you don't really want. Speaking of conjuring films, the Headcount film, which I've been high on for years and years on this show, is now airing on Shudder. Kitty, shut your mouth. So, of course, if you want a free Shudder 30-day trial, use the promo code HMP for Horror Movie Podcast. My buddies over there at the Horror Movie Podcast, they would appreciate it. And you get it, because you usually get just a 2-week free trial. This way you'll get a month. And you can reuse the promo code. Shh. But anyway, back to The Empty Man. It's a Conjuring movie where they conjure something up, and then this private investigator, this ex-cop, is realizing that these kids in this area are all dying from similar weird reasons because they all did the Empty Man conjuring session. And so it's also got kind of 2 stories going on at once. It runs a little long. It's a little over 2 hours, and it kind of hurts it a little bit. So you might want to try to view this in 2 sittings instead of 1. But I thought it was fine. When I put it, okay if desperate. Almost on the watch list, though. It was borderline. Next one, 2020, The Vanished. Critic rating 21%. Audience score of non-existent. It's not there yet. Again, it needs 50 reviews. Stupid Rotten Tomatoes. But I'm guessing it probably wouldn't be much higher than 21. I thought it was fine. Thomas Jane and Hayes are in this camper with their little daughter, and they're going to the campground, and then they're unpacking, and then all of a sudden the girl, poof, vanishes. Gone. So they bring the sheriff, the cops, everyone else in the world into this to help find their daughter. And as they're sitting around in their little camper, because they were told to sit and wait in case the daughter comes back, they start to get restless. The Thomas Jane and Hayes characters. So they start going out and exploring to see what they can find, and they get in more trouble than it's worth. Because they assume everyone is guilty. Peter Fasinelli directed this film. Peter Fasinelli also co-starred in this film, and he's still pretending that he's 30 years old when he is almost 50. But I guess if he can pull it off, he can pull it off. Okay if desperate. If you can watch it for free, it's worth it. Next one, 2020, Synchronic. Another one that was high on a lot of people's horror lists for last year. This was a good, dark sci-fi. I would not classify it as a horror, but yes, dark sci-fi, yes. Like a Total Recall type. In 2020, critic rating 81%, audience score 76. The guy from 50 Shades of Grey and his buddy are paramedics, and the one guy's daughter goes missing because she took this drug. And apparently this drug called Synchronic makes you go back in time to wherever, from could be dozens of years ago to thousands of years ago, depending on where you take it. It's all about location. Location. And then she vanishes in time. So then the buddy of the guy whose daughter disappeared decides he's going to figure this out. So he buys up all the remaining Synchronics in the area and starts experimenting with this to see what he can figure out. It's interesting. Yeah, so you got some time jumper things going on. So that's how it's sci-fi. I put it on the watch list. It's definitely worth it for the science fiction factor, which is good. Okay, I guess that's it. Time for our feature review of Bloody Hell.
So, trying to escape my hell of a past only landed me somewhere much worse. Don't let them kill you. Who's them? And now, if I want to have a future, I've got one night to escape. It's your family. These total psychos.
Bloody Hell 2021. Critic rating 90%, audience score of 60. This movie was crazy. This movie was awesome. Main character was played by Ben O'Toole, who doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. Loser. He's been in several films. I knew I'd recognize him from something. He was the son of Russell Crowe in The Water Diviner, which was a great Russell Crowe film, if you have not seen. Came out several years ago. But in this movie, he plays a guy who breaks up this bank robbery by killing all of the bank robbers. And then one of the innocent people accidentally get murdered, so he ends up going to prison for several years. But he gets kind of the reputation in the media as being the real-life John Wick, so he's kind of a celebrity. So everywhere he's going to eat, poop, or sleep, he gets followed by the media. And he gets tired of this because it never ends. So he decides to go on a vacation to Finland. And things just get worse. Worse in the most extreme possible way, but yes, they get worse. There's this family with a cannibal, and he gets kidnapped so he can be fed to the cannibal. And that's where the movie goes. This is all in the first, 15 minutes, so I'm not giving anything away. This is all in the trailer. You can figure it out. But it's very, very interesting. Bloody Hell. Yeah. So, put that on top of your goddamn watch list and give it a goddamn watch. Goddamn it. Because it's worth it. Alright, that's it for this show. I'm a little rusty, can you tell? Next, on the next show, we got Fingers, we got Greener Grass, we got an 80s movie called The Pit, we got 2 old Peter Cushing movies. These old Peter Cushing movies are 100% reliable. They're 70s, and they're old, and there's no blood, there's no gore, but yet they're entertaining. 2 of his movies called Asylum and The Beast Must Die. And then we got another 2021 called The Pale Door, and then another 2021 called The House in Between, which is a documentary from one of the guys from Ghost Hunters / Ghost Nation. And then we got another 2021 film called Butchers. So we'll see how those are. So until whenever, see you then.